Alright, hey guys, Jordan here and welcome to day 2. Just a quick video for you to explain what you should be doing following on from day 1 and how you can set up the rest of the week. So, what happened yesterday? Did you fill out MyFitnessPal? Did you hit your calories? Did it surprise you how many calories you took in? Essentially what should have happened is you should have gotten to the end of the day, looked at your calories on MyFitnessPal and gone, I hit this many calories. It was 2,600 or it was 3,000 or it was 1,500. And then you want to compare that to what your target was supposed to be. So if you followed the instructions, you would have set a target and that would be semi-accurate. You know, we were using general equations and we were trusting MyFitnessPal, which isn't always reliable. And we prefer to use more specific equations and get it more accurate. But as it's a generic program, we can only work with what we've got. So you had your target there. Were you over or under? Essentially, how close were you to your range? You'll be finding that certain foods you ate added onto the calories a lot, and so you went way over. So this is just a learning process, learning about more what foods help, what foods are high calorie, what foods you can afford to be having. Essentially, you can have all foods as long as you're smart about it and understand how many calories they're going to take. So you were either over or under. So you've got your target there. Essentially, that target is supposed to be your deficit. So if your target was 2,000 calories, if you ate 2,800 yesterday, if you did that every day, you're most likely not going to lose weight. You're probably going to put on weight. Yeah. If you ate way under 2,000, you would probably lose weight. Yeah, so, and again, this 2,000 isn't necessarily right. If you're finding that you ate 2,800 calories and you're starving when you're supposed to be on 2,000, then 2,000 probably isn't the right number. Okay, but we just want to compare how far off your target were you, and can you get close to that target? Okay, so being over or under is fine. It's just a learning experience. You know, every single day from here, we're just trying to learn about what will put us over, what will put us under, until we can consistently hit that calorie deficit, and that way we can guarantee that at the end of the week we're going to be lost fat. Okay, so what do we do today? Today, we want to make sure that we're hitting the right target. So if you haven't done this yet, you need to do this. You need to use this generic equation, which we find is pretty accurate most of the time. Get your weight in kilograms and times it by 2.2. So we use the example of a 100 kilo guy who times his weight times 2.2. So that's 220, the number. Yeah, the number 220. You times that number by 9 to 14. 9 if you're really inactive and you don't do any exercise, and 14 if you're an elite athlete. You know, you do a lot of exercise. Okay, so most guys will be between the 9, 10 or 11 range. Some guys, if you've got a really active job and you really exercise, you might be about 12. Okay, so for this guy, this example, he's 220. We said it was a 10 because he at least stands up at work, but he doesn't really do any exercise. So that's 2,200 calories per day he needs to hit. Okay, so yesterday, if he tracked his macros like you guys did, and he ate 2,400, that's okay. It's pretty close, but it's not quite in that range. Now we want to be in the range of, if it's 2,200, we want to be within at least 100 calories over or under. Okay, so 2,200 was the number. He's got to try and hit that. If he was way under, you'd want to try and eat a bit more food to get to that point, because we don't want to be eating way under, okay? We want to be able to hit your macros though. So your macros are 15% carb, 45% fat, 40% protein. So how do we hit them? Okay, so let's take this guy for an example. He's eating 2,200 calories per day. Okay, you need to look at the gram amounts and that will help you hit them. Okay, so in your MyFitnessPal, when you go to that circle that we showed you with the ratios, with the pie graph, that's all well and good, but if you're having, 15% carb, 45% fat, 40% protein, you get the macros right, but you haven't had 2,200 calories, you've only had 1,200 calories, that's not really good enough. It's good to get the macros right, but if you're not having the right total calories, it's kind of irrelevant. So you need to get the ratios right, but do it by hitting the right gram amount. So what you can do is on the MyFitnessPal app, there's just a little tab there, you click that, it shows you how many grams you need to be hitting each day. Okay, so for this guy, his example is 15% carb. You can see 15% of 2,200 is 330. Okay, 330 calories of carbs he needs to hit per day. If he has 330 calories of carbs, that's 15% of his total calories. Okay, now, fun fact for you all, 1 gram of carb is 4 calories. Okay, so you divide it by 4 to get the total amount of grams. So if this guy has 82 grams per day, that's 15% of his total intake, all right? That'll add up to the 2,200, okay? That'll add up to 330 calories, which will work within the 15%, okay? I know this math is kind of confusing, but it's very simple. 4 calories per gram. So the total calories are 330. You divide it by 4 to get the gram amount. Boom, he needs to hit 82 grams per day. So he knows that something like a banana is, 10, 15 grams of carb. So if he has 4 bananas per day, that might be about 50, 60 grams of carbs, and he's only got 20 grams left. Okay, so that's a poor example because we wouldn't want to just eat 4 bananas a day and no other carbs because that wouldn't give us much option. Okay, 45% fat. So 45% of 2,200 is 990 calories. Now fat has 9 calories per gram. Okay, and again, I know the numbers are kind of confusing, and that doesn't make fat evil. It's just a number. It's just a higher number. Higher doesn't mean evil. Lower doesn't mean better. okay? We're not trying to aim on a starvation diet where we're only hitting 1,000 calories. If that was the case, then it would be pretty hard to eat fats, okay? So 990 divided by 9 is 110 grams. So you can see that although it's a lot more calories, it's a pretty similar gram amount. You know, it's not that far off, only 30 grams off. So he needs to have 110 grams of fat per day. Okay, if he has 110 grams of fat per day, he will hit his numbers. Okay, 40% protein. 40% of 2,200 is 880 calories. Protein is the same as carbs. It has 4 calories per gram. Okay, so you divide that by 4. He needs to be having 220 grams of protein per day to be hitting his numbers. Okay, so if he has 220 grams of protein, 110 grams of fat, and 82 grams of carbs, at the end of the day, he will look at MyFitnessPal and it will say 2,200 calories. Okay, so you need to work out for yourself what grams you should be hit. So whatever your totals are, divide that by 4 to make it 4 easy meals. So if you go into MyFitnessPal, you go to the pie chart, you look at the amount of grams you should be having each day. So for you guys, it might be around the same mark. You know, it might be about 80 grams of carbs. Each meal, because you're having 4 meals per day, remember, each meal try and have 20 grams of carbs. That way you have, you know, even carbs throughout the day, 20 grams per meal. At the end of the day, you'll have had about 80, okay? And that's if your target is 80. It's all up, it's dependent on you, all right? So for an example, for this guy in this example, he's supposed to be having 220 grams of protein. So divide that by 4 is, you know, 50 grams of protein per meal. He needs to be having about 20 grams of carbs, and then 110 grams of fat divided by 4 is about 25. So 25 grams of fat, okay? So per meal, he's supposed to be having these 3 things. So to get that amount of protein, you might have, you know, 200, 300 grams of chicken breast, or maybe about 200 grams for about 50 grams of protein, yeah? He might have a bunch of avocado with that, which adds up to 25 grams of fat, yeah? And then he has, you know, a bunch of broccoli, a bunch of veggies, you know, 200, 300 grams of broccoli, and that'll be about 20 grams carbs, okay? So these are all very estimate numbers. Broccoli is quite low carb, so it might not be that much off 200 grams, but the point of what I'm saying is not to confuse you, just make your meals simple, pick your protein part, pick your fat part, pick your carb part, and try and get them to work with these numbers. If you do that, at the end of the day, you'll hit your calories. So every meal has to have this necessary carb, fat, and protein part equivalent to the amount you're supposed to be having. So if you got to the end of the day yesterday and your carbs are 40%, obviously you're having really high carb foods a lot, yeah? And you're not having as much protein or fat. So you really need to work on getting your protein and fat up and reducing that carb a little bit. And we don't want to go low carb forever, you know, because carbs are nice, carbs are delicious, carbs help us with energy. You'll struggle on low carb long term, but this is a 14-day rapid fat loss program. This is a program designed to kickstart your fitness and kickstart your weight loss, your fat loss. So we go low carb just to teach you how to have more protein and fat into your and healthy fats into your diet, as well as making sure that you learn, you know, how to clean up your diet a bit, get good results, get some momentum. Okay, so I know this is a bit of a confusing video. We're talking about numbers, but rewatch it again if you didn't understand. It's very simple. You got your numbers there. You got your calorie amount there, try and hit them, okay? So your task for today are, you hit your calorie intake as close as you can. So yesterday you might have been way off, try and get it closer, okay? Work on those meals. Hit closer to your macro intake, okay? So yesterday you might have found your macros were all over the place. You weren't even close to hitting the right macro ranges. So work on the numbers, look at what you can and can't be having, and get those macros closer, okay? Number 3, keep eating foods from the shopping list. We understand that you might not have everything on the shopping list available. Some stuff might come up, which is why we're just not saying strictly only eat the shopping list. Ideally, that would be the best situation if you could do that, but eat mostly from the shopping list. If something comes up where you can't have something from the shopping list, that's fine. Eat that. Just see if you can make it fit your macros. Okay, that'd be a good test for you. You'll be guaranteed to lose fat if you're intaking these types of macros and hitting what should be a calorie deficit. Okay, I'll repeat that again. You'll be guaranteed to lose fat if you hit these macros and you're hitting a calorie deficit for yourself. Okay, and these targets should be a calorie deficit. All right, if you do this throughout the week, it's just a work in progress. So a lot of information today, but nothing new to give you. Okay, we'll be giving you meal plans later in the week. We'll be giving you more exciting stuff. Just make sure that you are following these instructions. You're trying to hit your numbers each day. If you do that, guarantee at the end of the week you've lost fat. Okay, thanks for listening, boys. We'll talk to you tomorrow.